So what are we doing here? This is an introductory course. I'm not assuming that you have a lot of previous programming experience. However, you should have taken Fundamentals of Programming 1113. If not, you may have a little bit of catch up to make. So in developing both procedural and object-oriented logic, you may have heard those terms. We're certainly going to get into them. Using C++ programming language. Utilizing several program development tools and techniques. If you're using Windows, you're going to want to install Visual Studio. If you're a Mac user, there's one for the Mac called Xcode. If you're a Linux user, then you're a god and you'll figure out which one you want to use. So this course will present the core concepts of writing computer programs: variables, decisions, loops, functions, classes, and object-oriented programming. If you've taken another programming course in the past, then those terms are going to be pretty familiar. If not, then, like I said, read the textbook carefully, because we're not going to assume that you've never seen a program before in this. We're not going to assume that you're experts, but we're also not going to assume that you've never touched a keyboard and written, a programming script in Python or something else. So in here, we do use a Visual Studio development environment. Is that the only one even available for Windows? No, not at all. It's just one that is installed on all of our computers. The one that's installed on our computers here is a lot older, 2013, than the version you're going to install at home. So just kind of be warned of that. But really, they're very, very similar. Honestly, it hasn't changed that much in the last 4 or 5 years. So, professor information. That's my phone number. I strongly encourage you to use it. I encourage it so much that what I'm going to ask, and do this even if you've had me in a previous class, guys, because I delete your contact information between semesters. Please send me a text. Grab your phone and send me a text. I'll increase the size of this just a moment. With CIT1173 followed by your name. And don't just type in your name. I always get a smart aleck who actually does that. So why do I do this? Because if you're programming, I can help you. You can take a picture of your code. You can text it to me. I'll probably be able to go, okay, check out line number 93. All you need to do is this, or maybe you need to do this, this, and this. Or I can handwrite something and I can take a picture and send it back to you. Some people take advantage of that. Some people don't. I really wish everybody would, because if you get stuck, there's no reason to wait until the next class period in order to ask me a question. And, I get to know you better as you send me messages. You become my teacher's pet since we talk a lot. It's all good. And I'll never contact you about anything outside of the class. And if I ever send you a message without you having sent me one first, it's because of something serious, like the class is canceled for bad weather or something like that. All right, so blow up my phone with text messages, y'all. Okay, cool. I'm seeing a bunch come in. Thank you very much. Oh, and yeah, for the folks who are saying, I go by or I like to be called, that was a great idea, and I should have asked everybody to do that. So if you prefer to be called by a different name, send me another message right now that just says, hey, I like being called this, or I like being called that. Useful. We'll take roll in a minute. Well, more in a minute. So my campus email address is that, but texting gets much faster responses, right? Course information, this is CIT 1113, hybrid, lecture and online. Pretty much every course you take is a hybrid anymore. Doesn't everything use D2L or some kind of online component? Why make a big deal of calling it that? But yeah. You're going to be using D2L in order to upload assignments, download your assignments, stuff like that. I expect that the vast majority of y'all have used D2L. If you've been here a semester or more, you probably have used it, but I can hold your hand a little bit if you haven't. You know when to be here. What are you going to need? You're going to need a Mac or Windows or Linux. Trying to do C++ on your iPad or your Chromebook would be a very unsatisfying experience. If you can't get this stuff installed on your home computer, you can always come to the business lab, which is just right next door to us, and it has all the development tools that you need on it. If you have a laptop, feel free to bring it to class. That's totally awesome. You do your work here, you carry your laptop home, you can just continue it. You know, if you're stuck on a programming problem, you bring your laptop here, you show it to me. You know, it makes it real easy to do. Of course, not everybody has laptops, and you know, if you have a huge, you know, alien 19-inch laptop, you know, you may not want to be tugging it around anyways. But if you do, you want to bring it, that's cool. If you're a Mac user, that's totally cool. I use Macs and PCs both. You can do, you know, C++, you can do anything on one that you can do on the other. There's the textbook with the ISB numbers. Having a home computer will certainly help you out. You know, this lab isn't open 24 hours a day, whereas your home probably is. What are you going to learn? Understand fundamental concepts and general principles of programming. I had to kind of ponder what the difference between a concept and the principles were. Yeah. I guess a concept is an idea, and a principle is something that you plan on abiding by. So I guess that they do have slightly different meanings. Those are things like loops and variables and functions and methods and classes, you know, return values. Those are all the kind of things that are common across many languages, not just C++. Once you learn C++, you've got a really good background for also learning Java or JavaScript or a whole C#, a whole bunch of other languages, because all of those come under the family of what's known as C syntax. You know, C was invented like in 1970 or something like that, and it grew up into C++, and everybody kept wanting to one-up C++ by coming up with their own language, but the syntax was clean enough, you know, that they cleaned it up themselves, but it's all very similar. It all looks the same. That doesn't mean that they're the same languages, but that there's a lot of commonality. So you're going to learn to write, compile, debug, and run. Now, I haven't concentrated enough on debugging in the past, but if you use Visual Studio or another IDE, which is an intelligent development, you know, integrated development environment, you can step through your code line by line as it runs. You can click F10 or whatever, and it goes to the next line. Click F10, goes to the next line. You can watch your variables change their values. In the real world, you're going to be sitting inside a debugger all the time. And it's too bad that the classes don't focus on that, either this one or the Java class. I'm going to try to make sure that we have time to do that. Write programs using logic, construct, selection, and repetition. You'll know what all that is if you don't already. Utilize language features such as arrays and abstract data types. That may be a word that you're not familiar with if you've only used Python before, abstract data types. So, good deal. Get you show you stuff that you don't know. That's always good. Otherwise, why are you here? Free access to computers is available to all enrolled students. You can go to the LRC. However, do they have C programming tools there? I don't believe so. So yeah, you can access the internet there, but in order to do the development yourself, you're going to want to use the computers in a business division or at home or at work, you know, wherever you have access to a computer that you can install stuff on. Course tools. That seems like the same thing. Why does it say Python there? I need to edit this. C++ development tools. This is not a Python class. That's a typo. It needs to be revised out of it. What do you need? Mac users should use Xcode. It's downloadable from the App Store, and I have a document about how to use it. Windows users will want to use Visual Studio. Yeah, you could use something else, but why not use what you're going to be using in the classroom? Linux users may look into NetBeans or Eclipse or CodeBlocks. You're kind of on your own on that just because I'm not familiar with Linux. However, if you do install NetBeans or Eclipse, I've used those on different platforms, so you ought to be pretty good. So, website. We already know this, but we utilize distance learning software Brightspace. It used to be called D2L. Now it's called Brightspace, but we didn't feel like changing the name of the website to bs.rose.edu. So leave it at D2L. All homework assignments, exams, lecture notes, grades, etc. will be posted there. So I'm going to skip ahead to talking about exams. Exams are not given on, fill in the little sheets of Scantrons. Instead, they are done, via D2L. So if you've ever taken a D2L quiz, you've already kind of familiar with the way that those work. multiple choice, fill in the blanks, maybe write a little bit of code, in a space like that, matching, that kind of stuff. And you get good prep for it by the quizzes that I give. I will talk about those again as we scroll down. Just don't stress overly much about the exams. If you take the quizzes, they prepare you for it, and they're open book, open note, open PowerPoint. So, yeah. If you have exam anxiety, don't see if you can chill on that, because certainly after you take the first one, you'll realize how right I was. And if you get stuck on an exam question, you can raise your hand. I'll come back and help you. And then after I find out what it is, it may be something I need to explain to the entire class. I may come up here and write the answer down. So it's to your advantage, and you help everybody else by asking those questions if I've worded it confusingly or something like that. I won't give you every answer, but you can ask for clarification. Everybody has an email account. I bet you already know that. It's a Gmail account, so you can configure your portable device or your email client to access it, or you just go to www.gmail.com. Or we have our own link, of course, which, well, what do you know? That link doesn't work anymore. I need to delete it. Go to Gmail and enter your email address, first name - last name @rader.rose.edu. If you don't know how to access your student email address, like I said, I strongly expect that everybody does, then there are help pages for it. I list those on the last page. So where were we? Alrighty. Important dates. This is the most important date, right? We got to know when spring break is. There are some other important ones as well. When we see midterm 1, midterm 2, and final, it's not like the final is a super duper exam that's worse than the others. It's just 3 tests. We cover 3 units worth of material. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. Why didn't we call it Unit 3? Because it's given during finals week. I could change the name of it to Unit 3, but then midterm 3, or exam 3, exam 1, 2, and 3, but then people would ask when the final was. So anyways, those dates are there. If you're going to withdraw, you'd want to do so by April 20. If you want to withdraw without a penalty, I don't remember when that is, or not have to pay for it, it better be pretty darn soon, I think, maybe by this Friday. The grade scale is pretty traditional. 90%'s an A, 80%'s a B, 70%'s a C, and so on. I don't try to organize my class. I'm not one of those profs who's a killer grader where I want lots of people to make C's. I don't want very many people to make A's. No, I don't do that. I want everybody to make a good grade, and I don't mind turning in a grade sheet where 70% of the people make A's. And no, is that because I'm easy? I work with you really hard on this stuff. And if I turned in something that where 70% of the class made A's and somebody asked me any questions about it, I'd show them your work. Look, they know this stuff. I'd show them your exams. Wow, they know this stuff. So that's the way that we're going to do it. But you do have to put the work in. If you come to class every day, if you read the book, if you take the quizzes, we'll get to that in a minute, because here we're talking about the way the grades are broken down. I kind of apologize for, I know some classes say if you score 800 points or above, you have an A, and if you score 700, that kind. Instead, I do it by percentages, but that's because I kind of vary the material semester by semester. For one thing, I don't want you to be able to go to Joe, who took it last semester, and just get his programs, and turn them all in. But anyways, so your programming homework, you got to do your programming homework. It's a third of your grade. The in-class assignments. The in-class assignments are when I'm up here typing code in. You could follow along. You get your program running. I'll pause periodically. I'll wander around, make sure that everybody got the code running. We illustrate concepts that way, because just staring at a PowerPoint is boring. You'll go to sleep if you do that. Just watching me type code in is also boring. If you're playing along, you're learning more, right? You're engaging both your audio learning, your visual learning, your muscle memory, all of the above. And then there are quizzes and exams. Each exam is worth 100 points, 100%. Each quiz is worth 1/5 of that, 20 points. The way the quizzes work is you take it, I grade it, then you can turn around and take it again, up your grade on it. Heck, then take it a third time if you want. You ought to be able to get, an A by the third time you take the exam. So why do I do that? I'm not testing your knowledge with the quizzes, honestly. I just said that on the exam. None of that retaking business applies to exams. Sorry. rewind that, say that it was all quizzes. You're allowed to take the quizzes multiple times. Why? Because I use them as teaching tools. You know, maybe you've had a professor who gave you a sample exam that you could use and study, you could cram with. No, but the quizzes are your sample exams, right? You take the quiz, you take it again, you take it again, you have an A on the quiz, you have an A on all 3 quizzes, you know, over the chapters that we're going to cover. You're going to blow that exam away. So do the exams, retake them to up your grade on them, and you're going to be well prepped. I keep swapping the term quizzes and exam. Do the quizzes, you'll do great on the exams, right? Are we clear on that? I'm sorry that I botched that. That's, my brain is fried. Okay, submitting homework. You submit your homework via D2L. You also submit your in-class tutorials via D2L. You submit everything through D2L. You're going to take your quizzes there. You're going to take your exams there. Grading policy. If your program doesn't even run because of syntax errors, and hopefully most of y'all know what a syntax error is, when you type in something but it's got, you know, bad grammar. You forgot to put a semicolon in the right place, or you misspelled a variable name. You know when you have a syntax error. The program doesn't even run. You click the run button. You don't, you know, it shows you an error. It doesn't do anything. That's a syntax error. That's different than a logic error. A logic error is when it runs, but it doesn't do the right thing. You know, you type in your age, and it's supposed to tell you whether you can go and join the Air Force or not. And you type in, you know, that you're 4 years old, and it says, great, go enlist. No, they're not taking 4 years olds. That's a logic error. That's different. If it has syntax errors and won't run at all, you don't get credit for it. Okay, you get 1% credit. But that's not your final answer. If you receive only partial credit, I will give you a notice why on the feedback. You can correct your assignment, resubmit it for more credit. So what I'll do is if you made 100% on it, I'll go, you know, great job. I'm not going to type up a whole big paragraph about how great you are for getting it done right. But yeah, I am proud of you, so I am going to say good job. But if you didn't get it right, for whatever reason, then I'm going to say the program doesn't do this, or the program doesn't do that, or I couldn't get the program to run. If it's I couldn't get the program to run, you're going to get 1%. If the program runs but it doesn't do the right thing, you know, maybe you'll make a C on it or something. But I'll always put, you can please revise and resubmit for more credit. You know, if you only earned a 50 points out of 100 on it because it did something but it didn't do the other 2 things, revise it, you know, I'll probably up the grade to a 90 or something. So anytime you don't make a great grade on your homework, with one exception, then please revise it, resubmit it. That's the way it works in the real world, right? You know, you post a PlayStation game out on the network and you find bugs, you revise it, and everybody downloads the new version of it. You show a program to a customer and they find a flaw in it, you know, then you go and you revise it. Same in this class. You get multiple attempts at it. The only exception is if you cheated on the assignment. If I catch you doing academic dishonesty, and I'm pretty good at catching it, unfortunately, well, I guess I wouldn't know about the ones I don't catch right. But anyways, I catch it a lot, unfortunately, and we'll talk more about that. You get a 0 on that one with no chance to revise it. We'll talk more about that later, unfortunately, because it's a common problem. Programming assignments are generally due 1 week from the day that they are assigned. If I give you programming assignment number 11, and I do so on, you know, March 1, it's going to be due, you know, midnight, March 7. I think I'm going to bump that to March 8 so that you have an entire 7 days to do that. Now, for 10 years, I've been doing, you know, where it was due the evening before, but yeah, why not an entire week? Anyways, it's due a week from the day that it was assigned. You can just assume that, even though I don't put due dates, but I will put due dates on it. But if I goof and don't put a due date, assume that it was due a week from when it was assigned, but also send me a text message. And what I'm going to do at that point is I'll probably make it due a week from the time that you sent the text message, because, you know, I don't want anybody walking in and saying, well, there wasn't a due date, so I didn't do it, and I'm going to lose credit on it. No. So, you know, hopefully I won't make that mistake, but it's possible. The exception is if I know something weird's going on. If we get snowed out on Thursday, you know, or something like that, I'll extend it by the snowing out because we didn't get a chance to talk about it. Am I going to make things due during spring break? Nah, it's supposed to be a break, right? So if you look at this grading scale, you might think, okay, if I do all the quizzes and I come to class and I type in what you want me to do, and I do maybe one programming assignment, I might make a 70. I've made a C in the course. No, you got to do at least half of the programs. And that's a rule that I set in all of my programming courses. Why? Because we're learning programming. We're not learning how to take exams and to type things that the professor type on screen. You have to actually do some of the programs as well. So, students must have completed at least 50% of the programming assignments to pass the course, no matter what the other grades are. It hasn't happened recently, but people who knew programming, so they came in and they took the quizzes and the exams, and they made 100% on all those, but they didn't feel like they needed to do the homework or whatever. And I had to, give them some bad news after a while. It's non-negotiable, and you need to do at least half your programs. If I give you 10 programming assignments, get 5 of them done at least. If I give you, 16 of them, get 8 of them done at least. Better yet, get them all done. Learn the most. You're paying money to be here, or somebody's paying money to be here. You're spending your time here. It's because you want to learn. You don't learn just by sitting and watching. It's when you're sitting there at home pounding your head on the keyboard because you can't get it to work that you learn the most. Unfortunately, that's just true. Incomplete. You get, 4 or 5 weeks into the class, and you decide that you're failing it or whatever, and you ask the professor if he's going to give you can take it incomplete. And, I'll finish it later, I promise. This isn't my rule. It's a department policy now. The incompletes are only granted for students who are already passing the course. So, if you're at the end of the semester, you are passing the course, but if you just gotten project C done, you would have gotten an A, and instead you're making a C. Your professor might go, I'll give you an incomplete, get it done over the break, that kind of thing. That's what incompletes are used for, not because you're failing the course and want to, If you take an incomplete and then you don't do the work anyways, it turns into an F. So it's not a way to sneak around. It's better to withdraw from the class if that's the case, and hopefully that's not going to happen. Late assignments. If you're a week late, up to a week late, 10% off. So up to 7 days late, you made a 90 instead of 100. That's pretty generous, I think. I've had profs that said, absolutely no credit if it's late. Even a day late, that's kind of nerve-wracking to me. If it's 2 weeks late, up to 2 weeks, 20% off. 3 weeks, 30% off. 4 weeks, you earn, a maximum of 60%. You don't want to wait a month to get something done, so get them done more quickly than that. If it's more than 4 weeks late, don't turn it in. Or if you do turn it in, because it's always useful to learn stuff, you're not going to get credit for it. In-class assignments must be completed within 4 weeks. If it's something we did in class, I do videotape all of our lectures because some people have to miss class. You're sick, your kid's sick, you got to go out of town. There's all sorts of reasons you may need to miss a class. Watch the lecture, type along with what we did, upload it, and you're going to get credit for it. But don't put it off for a month. That'd be silly. Hop on it pretty quickly. If you hop on it pretty quickly, you'll get full credit. If you wait a month, you're not going to get any credit for it. Why is it important to do this stuff? Because if you're behind, you're not going to be able to do the homework. If you're behind, you're not going to be able to understand the lectures that I'm giving right now because you skipped, the last 2 weeks worth of stuff. Penalties for late assignments might be waived at my discretion if the lateness of the assignments discussed with the professor, preferably before the due date. If you come in 2 months later after not having been here and you say, wow, man, my job was really hard, it would have been a lot better if you told me beforehand. My responsibilities, I have to take the evening shift now, so I can't come to class for, 4 weeks or whatever. I'm going to watch the videos, I promise. If you tell me that kind of stuff, I'll work with you. Or, I'm pregnant. I'm certainly not going to be in class while I'm giving the baby. So, that's fine. You just need to talk to me about it. And, I'll work with you on it. But if you don't talk to me about it and you turn it in late, then the percentage is going to go down. Attendance. Do I count off if you're not here? No, I don't count off if you're not here. I tried that one semester and I didn't like it. You miss 3 classes, your grade drops 5 points. I don't know if any of y'all's profs do that. I had people do it when I was going to school. I don't. But As a general rule, students who attend classes and do not miss many days perform better in the course. That's just generally true. If you miss half the course, half the days, you're probably not going to do as well. You have to have an incredible amount of discipline in order to miss classes and still do well. Could you? Yeah, because I videotape the lectures, right? But here's what happens. You miss a day. You watch the video and you upload it. And you go, hey, cool. This is pretty slick. I don't have to come to class. I'll just stay home and I'll watch the videos. What'll happen then is you'll do the next one, and then you'll do the next one, and then you'll get behind, and then you'll get further behind, and then you won't be watching the videos at all, and you'll downward spiral. So come to class. That way you get to ask questions. I'm here to hold your hand. Everything will go great. I have a message here that says, in a class that meets only once a week, attendance is twice as important. Well, we don't meet only once a week, so I need to delete that for this particular one. AAWs. If you don't know what an AAW is, everybody who's here right now does not get an AAW in the class. That means, absent withdrawal because you didn't show up. It's a campus policy. It's not mine or a division policy. It's a federal policy, which is that if you don't show up to a college course or participate in it, then you're dropped from the course and something is marked on your transcript. Why? Because people get grants. The military is paying for your school or whatever. And if you don't show up, then the military is going to get quite irate, or whoever gave you the grant is going to be quite irate, and you're going to have to, pay them back for it. Used to be back in the old days, in the 70s or whatever, you could get a grant and you can go to school, but you just didn't show up and do the work. Then you could, move somewhere, do the same thing. You can't do that anymore. These transcripts, follow you around. You get AWs on them, then you have to pay them back. So how do you avoid them? You show up within the first 2 weeks of the course. You participate, and then it's not a problem. Obviously, for y'all, it's not a problem. But when I take roll, there's going to be some people who aren't here. And then they get a couple more chances, but then an AW goes, and they're dropped from the course. I have had people miss like the first 3 weeks of class, get dropped from the thing, and then send me an email. Hey, why was I dropped from the course? I can't get into my D2L anymore. And they never showed up. They never turned anything in. They didn't send me any email. And they go, oh, I didn't know attendance was mandatory. I go, did you read the syllabus? No. So, they get dropped from the AW and they don't like it because they had intended on doing the work. They just never did. First 2 weeks for a 16-week class, 1 week for an 8-week class. Be there or else bad things happen to your transcript. Student expectations. What do I expect from you? There goes the word Python again. I really need to edit this. I'm sorry, guys. I told you that the change to D2L threw me for a loop. So, you know what we're going to do? I know how to fix that because I know how to do search and replace, I think. Anyways. Yeah. Python's a fun language, and I know a lot of y'all took 1, and 3, so. But we're not going to learn it here. Okay, good. I only made 2 references to it.
Unless you didn't capitalize it.
Yeah. Good. Good point. We'll see. So, have access to D2L and C++, especially D2L, Have a computer with internet access. That satisfies that one. If you can't install C++ on your computer at home, or you don't have a home computer because you use tablets and stuff like that, just plan on using it in a business office or finding a place, the one next door, or find another way to do it. Check D2L regularly. All due dates are posted on D2L. There's never an excuse for not knowing when something is due. Same is true for exam dates and stuff like that. If I change them from what they are in the syllabus, you'll know because you'll see it posted in D2L. I'll never change the syllabus and try to sneak it by you, right? I'll always update, post an update. I'll mention it in class. The same is true for exam dates. Attend class. You need to attend class, and you need to watch the videos for missed lectures. Please read the text. I always get somebody who asks, is the text necessary? Okay, you might be able to get away with just reading the PowerPoints, but you learn more from the text. Since we're buying this all online, or most of us are probably going to because you can't get it at the bookstore here. I don't mind if you get a prior version, if you get it for like 15 bucks as opposed to 80 or something like that. But only go one version back if you're going to do that. Keep up with the schedule and due dates. Complete your quizzes and assignments on time. These are things I expect from you. Going to school is kind of a job. Communicate with the professor about problems in the class. If you don't if a lot of people are falling behind because I'm going too fast or something like that, y'all need to pull me aside and say, hey, you need to slow down. One time I was teaching a course about 6 years ago, and it was the first time I taught it, and fully half the class was getting fed up with me. And they finally communicated with it, and so we did a reboot. We rewound and started doing, going over some of the same material more slowly, and they thought that was cool. So yeah, just let me know. If you're having problems understanding something, I want to help. I have office hours. I'll meet you. I don't come in on Fridays, but if you need to meet on Fridays, we can make an appointment, Ask for help when needed. So, phones, tablets, laptops will be silent during class. No game playing during class. Why do I list that? Because, yeah, you could be sitting there playing League of Legends, and it's really distracting to the person behind you because your game is a lot more interesting than I am. So they'll be watching you. Don't play games on it. Don't put distracting stuff on your screen. Don't use your portable game systems. Don't be playing, Candy Crush on your phones. I've had people sit in the back and then play a networked game against each other, like Street Fighter or whatever, And I have to walk back there and go, come on, guys. And it embarrasses me, and I hope it embarrasses them. So, no games. Any behavior that is disruptive will not be tolerated. Don't take calls during class. If your phone buzzes, go outside and take it. I'm not going to yell at you. If it's an exam situation, it's kind of different, but other than that, don't listen to headphones because then you're not listening to me and it hurts my feelings, and it's also distracting the person next to you who can hear your music. It's a no-smoking campus. Vapes are not allowed. Seems silly to have to say that, but the year that vapes started getting popular, people thought that they could I'm not smoking, and so they do it in classrooms, and again, it's embarrassing to have to tell them to stop. Do check D2L regularly. I will notify you of changes to due dates or to the syllabus. Homework will be graded within a week of submission. I'm not sure why I'm saying that that's an expectation of you, but yeah. If there are errors in your homework, you will not receive full credit, but you may then correct and revise your program to earn more points. And I'll kind of expect y'all to do that. Why blow it off and lose the credit for it? If you can raise a 60 to a 90 by revising something and re-uploading it, I'd jump at the chance. Missing your due dates, you need to be doing stuff on time because they do get deductions. Email queries sent to me, I should answer them within a day. If I don't, something's gone wrong, you might want to text me and say, hey, jerkface, I sent you an email. And people aren't polite than that, though. Weekend emails, that might be delayed until Monday. I do check my email over the weekend, but you know how it is. Communication by text usually gets responses more quickly. Don't ever think I'm not going to send him a text message. He might be asleep. I know how to mute my phone, and I'm up until 3 a.m. anyway, so send me a message. I won't write your programs for you, but I will look at what you've written and offer suggestions. Pretty clear ones, because I want you to get the stuff done. Office hours are offered for face-to-face. What you may expect from me, give clear instructions. If the instructions aren't clear to you, if you don't understand them, it's probably because I made a mistake. And probably, if they're not clear for you, they're also not clear for half the class or something like that. I goofed. Even if I didn't goof, I will post an update that clarifies things, unless it just seems something that's very specific to one person. So I believe that I need to be absolutely clear. Same on test questions. If you're taking an exam and the question just doesn't seem to have any right answers, or you don't understand it, or you don't know it, raise your hand, I'll come over and I'll help you. And I'll look at it and I'll go, yeah, you're right. That one's all messed up. And if it is, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to give everybody the answer, right? Because if I messed it up, it's not fair. If it's just something that you don't know, I may give you a hint. I may explain it a little bit more, but certainly ask. I will grade assignments and give feedback for work that needs to be corrected. If you didn't get 100% on it, I will explain why. I will give at least a week's notice of due assignments. I'll never say on Tuesday, oh, by the way, this is due Thursday. That's a real jerk face kind of thing. And I'll post all assignments, notices, and PowerPoints and reading assignments on D2L. All due dates will be posted there. Now back to academic integrity. We could replace all of that with don't cheat. Right? Okay, here we go. We're feeling good about this revision here, so we're just going to... How about that? All right, now we understand it. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about it anyways. You know, it's not a common thing, but unfortunately it's common enough that we have to spend a lot of time talking about it. How can you cheat in a programming class? Typically what happens is there are times when it's okay to collaborate and times when it's not okay to collaborate. The times when it is okay to collaborate is when I'm doing an in-class tutorial. Because if you're having trouble typing in something, if you have a syntax in, and you can look over and go, oh, all you got to do is, you're missing a parentheses. Yeah. Then that's cool. If y'all want to help each other during the class assignments, I like that because, how many people do we have in here? 24 or whatever. And if I'm having to hit, 15 people in order to correct typos, it's a lot better if y'all help each other. But then that kind of sets up the expectation of, you're my programming buddy. We could work on this stuff outside of class. And so people work together outside of class. That's not good. That's not doing your own work. It's considered academic dishonesty. Worse is if I got stuck, I might Snapchat you and go, yo, can you take a picture of your code? I'm just stuck on this. I got one little problem. I bet I can figure it out if I see what you did. And so you go, okay, sure. And then you take a picture of your code. And then I type it in verbatim. Or I ask for a copy of it and then I turned it in without even changing your name on it. Yeah. Yeah, I've had that happen, right? Or I've had people do that on quizzes, written questions where the wrong answer was given in identical language, right? I know that two people collaborated. And usually the person who, got the request, can I just see your code for a minute, take a picture of it so that, I can see what's wrong with my code, is caught, totally unawares that the other person was going to submit their work as their own. But I have to treat it as though both parties were culpable. And then the consequences are unfortunately very serious. What will happen? Okay, there are more examples of academic dishonesty. Some of them are unwitting. You Google something. You see some code that looks like, well, my professor wanted me to print a table of squares and, oh, cool, I found a program that does that. You copy, you paste, you submit it, you upload it. That's cheating. You didn't do the work yourself. You don't learn anything by copying and pasting off the internet. Is the internet a good way to learn programming? Totally. If you get stuck on something, Google a question. It'll probably take you to a site called Stack Overflow because they've become, the monster site that everybody goes to for, programming assistance. But take what you see there and make it your own program. It's just like writing a paper, right? You're not allowed to take, a page worth out of a book, put it into your paper, and submit it as of your own. So if you get quote where you got something, if you don't take it from, if you didn't write it yourself, and in that case, I'll probably say, okay, but I want you to rewrite this section. I won't blow you out of the water for that if you quote where you got it. If you don't quote where you got it, I'm probably going to be able to tell. And it's going to be written by, somebody who has a PhD in programming. It's going to look quite a bit different than yours. So, and if any of that happens, the consequences are you'll get an F on the assignment. That's not good. Then it gets worse. I will report it to the division dean, and I have to do that. That's a school policy. And it will also be reported to the director of student conduct. So at the very least, you get an F on that assignment. You could be ejected from the class. You could be expelled from school. Why am I harping on this? Because it happens every semester. And it's really nasty. I don't like fighting with people. I don't like having to confront people. They certainly don't like what happens when it happens, right? So the reason why this is a rule now that all instructors follow, that is reported to the division dean and the director of student conduct, is what used to happen is, I'd get caught and I'd say, oh man, I'm sorry, I just was overwhelmed, and the prof might have an easy heart and say, okay, first offense, it's okay. Just redo it. It's all cool. But then you go to another class and you do the same thing. You go to another class, you do the same thing. You keep getting slaps on the wrists in every class who catches it, and sometimes you don't get caught. And anyways, so now it all goes to one place, and if you know, if you are caught doing it in 2 classes or whatever, then the consequences are very severe. You'll probably be expelled from the school. Free personal counseling. I've had students with PTSD, you know, they serve in the military or whatever, or, you know, trauma, grief, if you have substance abuse problems, anything that's causing turmoil for you. You don't have to pay $100 an hour to go talk to a therapist. Go to the counseling. Here, you can call them up, set up an appointment, go talk to them. One time, the student came to me and said, I was assaulted by, you know, a professor at, I'm going to say OCU, but it wasn't OCU. I said, what happened? And they said, yeah, they pushed me against the wall because they were upset against me. I said, okay, you need to go talk to the person counseling, but I also need to call, you know. And so then our school called that school, and the instructor was dealt with. But anyways, this is available to you for free. Take advantage of it if you need to. Other student support services. If you click this link that I've got here, you go to a page called Support Services Trio. Transfer assistance, campus visits, you're already here, right? Academic advisement, tutoring, academic mentoring, workshops, if you need help learning how to study, which sounds silly, but it's not, right? You know, resource library, community service referrals. There's lots of things you can access from that link. And something that may be more urgent for you is, you know, we have what used to be known as the Office of Disability Services. We now call it Student Access Services. If you have things holding you back, you know, attention deficit, what's it called when it's difficult for you to read? Dyslexia, you know. It's hard for you to type because, you know, you have, you know, tardive dyskinesia and your hands shake, or, you know, one of your hands doesn't work, you know, or whatever. Any accommodations that you need, you talk to these folk. They're going to help you fill out a form. You show it to me, and I better obey what's on that form. You need extra time on your exams? Okay, that's fine. You need to videotape it. You know, you want to set up a camera and videotape the whole thing? That's okay. If you need me to sit there and sit by you and help you take the exam, you know, and read things to you, I've done it, you know, whatever. So, but you have to go through these people in order to get that set up. The Student Success Center. I didn't know what that was until I looked this up. It's new to me. The Student Success Center is designed to help students' personal growth, professional development, and academic progress. Okay, so if you go and look at the site, what do? Study skills workshops, connect with resources, assess your learning styles, provide academic advisement support. They have a whole bunch of workshops, you know, get organized, dealing with debt, all that kind of stuff. There's some cool stuff there. So, you know, always take advantage of what the college can give you. They don't charge for this stuff. You pay for it, you know, when you enroll and you pay your fees, so you may as well take advantage of it. Electronic communication. Everything is done by email. And by the way, I'm going through this, you know, without pauses, but that doesn't mean you can't raise your hand and ask for clarification on any point. I like to think it's because I'm explaining things so perfectly that you don't have any questions, but it's probably not true. So please interrupt me. And the same is true at any point in the class. If you need me to slow down, tell me to stop. Tell me to slow down. The more questions you ask of me, the more I like you, the more we get to know each other. The more you tell me to slow down, the more I like you, right? You know, communication is key, and I do not ever want to leave people behind or go too fast or speak in a way that people can't understand. Email. Everybody has an email account. Raider, you know, first name dash last name at raider.rose.edu. It's a Google account, so you can get to it via Gmail, or you can configure your phone, your tablet, or your computer to access it. Bookstores online, they don't have our book. Student handbook, if you ever want to go read the handbook, learn about withdrawals, incompletes, audit policies, and stuff like that, you can access it there. You can always, you know, just do a Google search or go onto the Rose site, but I like to provide links. Login assistance if you're stuck. You don't know your password. you changed your password, now you don't remember, or just mysteriously has been changed for you. Call IT help desk and ask for help. Email assistance, same is true of your email. You can't get into email anymore. Check these links first, but then call the IT help desk. D2L. D2L doesn't seem to be working. You can't log into it anymore. What you do there is you don't call them. They don't have a phone number. But send a message via the Rose D2L help desk. You go there, you type in your name and your email and give them a little bit of information. Then you say, I can't access my, C++ CIT 1173 course, or whatever the problem is. And then you say, please call me at, 867-5309, whatever. They'll get this message, they'll research it, and they'll call you, and they're really fast about it. So if you're having D2L problems, might be a good idea to copy this syllabus somewhere that doesn't require D2L to get a hold of, right? Because if you can't access the campus network, and you can't get on D2L, then you can't get a hold of the document. So, but you can always find these numbers, but by poking around on the website. But I try to get them to you in one place. All right, that is about it. So when we are programming, what are we going to be doing? We are going to be launching what's known as an IDE, an Integrated Development Environment. Now you Python users have already used one, but it's a very, very primitive one compared to the one that we're going to be using in here. The Python one is a sled as compared to, a Lamborghini or a truck or something like that. Here's what it looks like. And like I said, this is the older version than what you're going to install. But it comes up, and you create a new project, and then you type some code into it. I'm not going to work us all the way through it. I'm going to do that on Thursday. We're going to write our first program together on Thursday. But anyways, so you launch this thing up. It takes forever to load. Then, yeah, I'm going to skip this because it's taking forever to load. We'll do that on Thursday. If you look on our front page here, there used to be a link called Home that would take you right here, but now you have to click the name of the class. We see our announcements. Free software. The links are for BIT students, faculty, and staff. They both need your Raider email addresses. There's something called DreamSpark, which is a Microsoft download site. You register your account there, and then you can download all sorts of Windows stuff. Can you get Office? Can you get Word from it? No, but you can practically get everything else, including old versions of the operating systems. You're going to get Visual Studio. There's another one. If you know what VMware virtual machine software is and you want it for yourself, you can get it. This link might take you for a version of Microsoft Office that you could install as a freebie. I haven't checked it out recently. Get Office 365 for free by entering a school email address. I would certainly do that if I didn't already have Office. Python, Java development tools. Do you need those? Not for this class. So, if you're using a Mac, I can help you with that. I have enough Mac users that I wrote a little document for installing and using the C++ development environment on the Mac. Any Mac users here? Okay, I can stop talking about Macs. Totally cool if you are. It's fun. Usually I have, like 5 out of 20 students who do. So you're going to want to install Visual Studio. That's going to be my first homework assignment for you. So I'm going to make a Dropbox that says install Visual Studio. In fact, there's one already made. Okay, certainly get it done by Tuesday of next week. we look at it, we'll see, what do I ask for? And if you're using something else other than Visual Studio, you're a Linux user or whatever, okay, seemed like everybody was Windows users. But anyways, download and install Visual Studio or the appropriate tool for your platform. Take a screenshot of the development tool running and upload it. How do you take screenshots? I think most people know, but I'm going to walk you through it anyways. In the corner of your keyboard, you see those 3 buttons that people almost never use. I certainly have never used pause, break, scroll lock, or print screen. If you're using a laptop, you may have to click some modifier, but you want the print screen button. So what you do is you just on your keyboard click print screen. Does it really print? No, but it saves a copy of the image on your screen so that you can then load up Word or a Paint program or anything that, you know, and then you can paste that picture you just took. Okay, that's a screenshot. I just want you to get it up and running and take a screenshot to show me that you did. I don't care if you crop it, you know, you don't want people to see these icons down here or whatever, you know, whatever you want to do. Just give me a screenshot, put it in, I don't care if you put it in a Word document or just upload a bitmap or a JPEG. If even after I've talked about this stuff and you don't know how to do a screenshot, text me and I'll explain it more, you know, more carefully. I can video myself doing it, whatever, right? Okay, so that's that assignment. That's one for today. There'll be more interesting assignments, of course, as we go along. Are there any questions?
When is this assignment due?
It's got a due date listed. Let's take a look at how to see that. I mean, it's due a week from today, to give you the short answer. But the way you check your due dates is you go into D2L. Sure seemed like you had to scroll a long way down to get to the links anymore. Then you click on Assignments, used to be called Dropbox, and you'll see the due date there. Okay, good question. Yes, sir.
Do we need to zip our programs we send them in?
If you're just uploading one CPP file, one program file, I don't care if you zip it or not. In fact, I kind of wish you wouldn't. If you're uploading something that has more than one CPP file, like it's got header files or multiple C files, yeah, please do.
I was asking because I remember JavaScript got annihilated when it got uploaded.
Right. You had to zip the JavaScript files. You don't have to do the C++ files. But warning for everybody, I know that people said that they're not using Macs, but if you somehow create a file that doesn't have an extension at all, I hope you'll know what an extension is, like that .doc or .exe or whatever. If you create a file with no extension at all, D2L won't accept it. That's probably not going to happen in here, but I always have somebody. It's not a dumb thing because some, you know, some computers don't assume that you have extensions on your files. But then, yeah, they text me, they say D2L is broken, and I say, what's going on? And finally, I tell them, no, you had to put a file extension on, rename the file, once we figure that out. If you ever have any question about whether D2L is going to accept something or not, zip it up and upload it. D2L is picky about some things. I don't need a .exe version, but if something you're trying to upload gets told that, you know, can't upload this, forbidden content, you just zip the whole thing. And we'll talk how to zip. I bet most of y'all know how to do it, but what you do, unless you know, you're the kind of person who uses software like RAR, WinRAR, or whatever, is you just select the file, you right-click, and I'll do this again when we actually upload, you know, our real assignment on Thursday. Send to compressed folder. That's how easy it is. All of these campus computers, half of them will have other compression software like 7-zip or whatever. All you need to do is click Send to compressed folder, and every version of Windows dating back to like, you know, 1995 or whatever, you know, Windows 95 has had that option. So that's an easy enough way to do it. If you're already familiar with using another one, I don't care. Go ahead and use that. Do you need to compress your programs before you upload them? No. If it's just one C file, just go ahead and send that one C file. And we'll talk more about that on Thursday when we have a C file to upload. Any other questions?
Where do we access the videos that you make?
Where they will be posted, there aren't any videos yet, is in D2L, you're going to click on Content, and there'll be a folder for videos. Don't see it yet. We could put one there. But anyways, it'll be right there. It'll be up at the top of the list. Do you remember in the last version of D2L where when you were looking at the home page and it had this cute little quick links on the side? I don't see those anymore. That annoys me. But yeah, everything you do on here is going to be done either through assignments, quizzes, or content. Content is where all the PowerPoints are uploaded. You know, they're where all the videos are going to be posted. I'm going to try to remember to add them to playlists so that you can just subscribe to that playlist because they do go to YouTube. Any other questions? Attendance. Sometimes I let people get out of here. Don't remember to do that. Let's do that.